The 10 projects that turned out to be a waste of money in human history. So everyone, there are many projects which have to be done either in your country or in another country. These projects require budget for the successful completion. But in this video, we'll discuss the top projects that turned out to be a waste of money that you did not know about before. Let's grab some popcorn and make ourselves comfortable. Without wasting any time, let's get straight into the video. But before moving ahead real quick, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so that you remain in touch with all of our upcoming videos. Number 1. Spending $200 billion just so your Playboy dictator can party it up at a 4-week sports event. That's how much Qatar is estimated to spend to host the FIFA 2022 World Cup. Pitchside at Doha's scorching Abdullah bin Khalifa football stadium, coach Felix Sanchez shouts instructions at his Qatar under-23 squad. "Out of here," he shouts as his teammates rush the ball towards a corridor packed with Palestinian defenders. "Yalla Shabab," he screams in Arabic. "Let's go, lads." He shakes his head furious like football coaches do. It is late September and an early round tie in the West Asian Cup in front of no more than 200 fans and against a weak opponent in more ways than one. And that's apart from the thousands of labor fatalities have already happened and the thousands more projected to occur by 2022. We're talking about constructing not just stadiums but whole towns with all the infrastructure from scratch in the midst of the desert that will serve no purpose after the 2022 World Cup is finished. Number 2. 20-lane highway which is not even being used. Driving through Nai Piao, the purpose-built capital of Burma, it might be easy to forget that you're in the midst of one of Southeast Asia's poorest nations. On each side of the roadway, an apparently unending succession of large detached buildings, villa-style hotels, and retail complexes. The immensity of this strange metropolis is impossible to describe. It spans an estimated 4,800 square kilometers, 6 times the size of New York City. Everything appears supersized. The roadways, obviously built for automobiles and motorcades, neither pedestrians nor leisurely strolls, contain up to 20 lanes and extend as far as the eye can see. The only thing Nai Piao doesn't have, it seems, is people. The huge roads are totally vacant, and there is calm to the air. Nothing moves. Number 3. Jeff Bezos has spent $42 million building a clock to run 10,000 years. If you've been rattling about in horology circles in the past 15 or 20 years, you may have come across an unusual, and I do mean unique, clock project, conducted by an organization called the Long Now Foundation. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos took an interest in the project 6 years ago and has financed it to the tune of $42 million, and he just released a time-lapse video of the clock's development. The heart of the clock is a titanium torsion pendulum that beats once every 10 seconds. A clock intended to operate for 10,000 years is a hubristic undertaking, of course, but also a pretty interesting one. Number 4. The Rugyong Hotel in Pyongyang, North Korea. While there have certainly been larger wastes of cash in the history of humans, there's no taller waste of cash than the Rugyong Hotel in Pyongyang, North Korea. While the price tag is enormous for such a poor nation, an estimated $750 million, or 2% of North Korea's GDP when construction initially began, plus an extra $400 million from Egyptian telecoms firm, the cost didn't come to simply cash. During construction, electricity outages occurred. It drained much of North Korea's resources. The government very literally ran out of funds constructing it. Tie the aforesaid in with the hunger that occurred in the 90s, and this building is the greatest fuck you when you're hungry. Fortunately, the North Korean authorities are mindful of this huge middle finger and decided to airbrush it off of state photographs. Phew. Well, at least the hotel is in use. Well, not exactly. As of February 2016, the hotel still isn't open, but a simple Google search indicates that it's open. It has 271 reviews. Maybe Kim and his crew of chefs are putting up reviews. You never truly know. Number 5. A casino in Atlantic City is worth $2.4 billion. Atlantic City, New Jersey isn't doing so well. Today I'm going to be showing you a casino that debuted in 2012, and it was intended to be an iconic emblem of Atlantic City. Construction started in 2007. The project would cost an astounding $2.4 billion. It would become the highest casino in Atlantic City and the second tallest in the United States. Revel went through a difficult start. The structure was too large to occupy all of the 1,399 rooms it had. The debt started to pile up soon as they opened doors, and the proprietors had no clue what to do. On February, they stated they will file for bankruptcy in March. The entire debt was projected to be about $1 billion. They attempted to sell the property, but there were no purchasers. In consequence, they shuttered its doors. However, only 20 days later, a court-based auction was conducted. There was a $90 million offer on the property. Then another offer was made for $110 million. Shortly thereafter, the $110 million bidder stepped away. Property was ultimately sold to Glenn Straub for $95.4 million. In the end, Revel lost approximately $2.3 billion. It may not have been the greatest waste of money, but it was a fairly significant one. Number 6. Pratibha Patil, the ex-president of India. President Pratibha Patil overseas trips have cost the public 205 crores, exceeding the record of all her predecessors. Since taking office in the country's first women's president in July 2007, Ms. Patil has made 12 travels spanning 22 nations across 4 continents. She has 4 more months to go in her 5-year term, and a trip to South Africa is believed to be on the docket. A series of RTI petitions has shown that Air India spent over 169 crores on usage of chartered aircraft, usually a Boeing 747-400, on the overseas trip by Ms. Patil, mainly accompanied by family members. A visit to Bhutan was covered by a smaller jet. An additional amount of almost 36 crores have been spent by the Internal Affairs Ministry on lodging, local transit, daily allowance, and miscellaneous costs, according to its information. The Defense Ministry, which pays Air India for usage of chartered aircraft by the president, fended off RTI inquiries and gave minimal information. The airline has invoiced the Defense Ministry for nearly 169 crores for planes used by Ms. Patil. Of this, it has paid approximately 153 crores. Number 7. Mikey is a waste of money. In early 2000s, public transportation operators across the globe began the drive to convert to contactless smart cards. The state of Victoria opted to do the same in 2002, and a year later, another body was established to oversee the project. I think the reason was, among other things, to save on the running expenses. The project was delivered late, hundreds of millions over budget, to the total of $1.5 billion plus an additional $350 million in fare evasion, not counting the times when the terminals did not work and the drivers would simply let everyone in for free. Roughly the budget of a Mars rover for NASA, as noted by apt observers in Australia. Expensive contractors who performed next to nothing were replaced to cheap offshore developers who made strange design decisions. The members of the committee were partying with money like there was no tomorrow. Admittedly, today Mikey works nicely. It's convenient, has no more problems, even if it sometimes is the reasoning tough to understand, and makes the trip cheaper. But it will be impossible to remove the expenses from the collective consciousness of the Victorian taxpayers. Number 8. The biggest waste of money has to be the construction of Antilia, a 27-story, 400,000 square foot skyscraper in Mumbai. It is the most expensive house in the world, estimated at $1 billion, and is the home of billionaire Mukesh Ambani, his wife, and his 3 children. Their house spans 27 stories and has a crew of 600 to maintain the place 24/7. The level of this house is excessively exorbitant, particularly for 5 individuals. The building's lavishness is heightened by the contrast between its surroundings. In the middle of poverty-stricken slums, homeless people, unclean circumstances, and misery lies an imposing, highly extravagant dwelling. The structure might appear less profligate had it not been contrasted with its impoverished surroundings. Number 9. Anka Park, copy of Disneyland worth 3 billion liras. Previous mayor of Ankara, Melih Gökçek, spent $760 million from the state's funds to construct a park replica of Disneyland. Melih Gökçek was a person engaged in corruption, noted for being connected to the Erdogan administration. Despite all the protests, he first chopped down a lot of trees. Then he handed this project to corrupt businesses who were connected to the government, and no one could reject it since he was so close to Erdogan. This endeavor ran for years and expenditures continued to increase, but the pro-media concealed or suppressed these expenses. When they eventually built this park, they leased it to a pro-government business for 29 million Turkish liras for 29 years, and offered the company a promise that 10 million people would visit yearly. Guess what occurred? Since the day it was first launched, nobody came to this park, the entire park stayed vacant, the employees began not to get paid, while the economy and citizens were harmed by this failure. Melih Gökçek and his team got wealthy, extremely rich. Number 10. Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning, worth $1.5 trillion. I may end up very disliked after this response. Still, I want to let the history of illegal squandering of money out. Holy cow, what? That's how I felt. But yeah, you read it correctly. The Joint Strike Force program was intended to create a fighter that the Air Force, Marines, and Navy could all employ. A fast, stealthy aircraft that could take off from anywhere, land on anything, and deploy virtually any armament. Instead, it became a black hole of technical difficulties, delays, technology that was outdated before being deployed, and most of all, money squandered on a worthless military project. It's been projected that the F-35 has cost a whopping $1.5 trillion since its conception in 1996. The wretched fighter was plagued with difficulty after issues including having difficulties landing on aircraft carriers, troubles winning dogfights, dependability concerns, and strangely, susceptibility to lightning strikes. So everyone, that's all we have for today. I hope this video has been informative and fun. If you have any giant wastes of money that have gone down in history, let us know down below in the comments. At last, it's time to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified of all of our upcoming informative videos.